Now that we know how to improve the health of the soil, Masiana gets advice on planting a maize from Mr. Chege Githinji from Western Seed.
So basically what we do observe in planting is spacing, and that's why I have a rope and it has some measurements. From one hole to another, that is 25 centimeters. From one row to another row, that is 75 centimeters. If you don't observe your spacing, you'll find in most cases that your plants, they will grow and they will start having height variation. Why? Because they are competing for the sun. So you have to manage the spacing so that it can give you the best yield.
By adding DAP fertilizer and organic manure, her soil will improve and this will really pump up her yields.
So basically we do also have organic fertilizer and inorganic fertilizer. This fertilizer that we do buy from the shop is good for the plant nutrients. And the inorganic fertilizer, it enriches the soil, at the same time it maintains the soil temperature. And in this region, Marisiana, I do believe and I'm confident that this variety, WH505, is the best variety for this region. You can yield up to 40 bags in 1 acre. So basically, when you're planting, I've told you, you put fertilizer on one side, then seed on the other side. Then you can take the manure and put on top of the fertilizer to prevent the scorching effect. Then you put some small soil. After 14 days, be sure that you have to do the first hand weeding. When you observe what I've just told you, you're going to get as much as possible.
I have brought along Mr. Chege Githinji from Western Seed Company to take a look at our crop.
Wow, nice rows of maize. What do you think, Mr. Chege?
Yeah, basically, I'm seeing the maize, they're looking good, but there was some late weeding because as you can see, the yellow coloring of this maize, you top dressed it lately. Then another thing, you are very late in terms of weeding. So basically, I would have advised you, the first time you're supposed to weed, it's when the maize are at knee high. That is after 30 days. Basically, when you count the leaves, there will be 7. It means that your maize need to be top dressed. Basically, we normally advise farmers to either use ammonia or CAN. Because when we are planting this maize, I'll advise you to do the first hand weeding from day 15 to day 20th, the 20th date. During this period, we had initially planted with DAP. So after 30 days, that DAP would have been exhausted in the soil and the maize will need another nutrition. That's why we normally give it CN, the 30th date. And it's very, very, very much, you as a farmer, you are supposed to maintain your crop by doing the second weeding, that is from the 30th date to the 40th date, so that this CN that we have placed in the soil, it is not misused by the weeds.
To get a successful crop, it is really important to weed on a regular basis and also after 30 days to top dress, adding in more nutrients to the soil. Mr. Githinji also spotted a problem with the spacing.
I can see there is some height variation in your maize, and this means that you had some poor spacing.
So the spacing should be how many meters?
The spacing should be 75 by 25.
75
by 25.
Yes.
And if you don't observe that spacing, you will see some height variation, like the case we are seeing in that part.
Okay, how come I've seen she's planted about 3 seeds in one hole. Is that advisable?
Okay, we normally advise farmers to plant 1 seed per hole in that spacing, 75 by 25. 25 centimeters equivalent to 1 foot. So basically, when you plant 3 seeds in one hole, you are normally supposed to do something that we call thinning. That is after the maize has developed 3 leaves. You're supposed to do the thinning. You remove the 2. If you planted 3, you remove 2, it remains 1, the strongest. Because if we don't observe thinning, we shall have what I was telling you, the height variation, like the case we are seeing there. Because they will be competing for the sun during the process of photosynthesis.
Christine still needs to do a little bit of work on her maize. She should have thinned out her plants and now needs to carry out a second top dressing to ensure a good harvest.
Christine, I'll be checking on you
Yes.
to make sure that you are really shaping up. Right? Now you carry on with your top dressing. Be a very good farmer.
Yes.
Be successful. And I'll be checking on you, Christine.
Yes.